All right, welcome back, everyone. I am so incredibly thrilled to have you here for today's explainer. Look, if you've ever logged into your Make or Zapier account and just stared at the screen wondering where on earth all your automation credits went, you are in exactly the right place. Today, our goal is hyper practical. We're going to look at how to save a massive amount of external automation credits by mastering one very specific feature inside Notion, the Webhook button. We're going to take your setup from a passive, credit-draining money pit into a highly efficient, on-demand powerhouse.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is a roadmap for today. 1. The high cost of polling. 2. Meet the webhook button. 3. How to set it up. And 4. The auto pause trap. Starting with section 1. The high cost of polling, or why you are burning money for no reason.
So, if you use external tools to automate your Notion workspace, you've almost certainly felt the pain of watching your task quotas just vanish. It is so frustrating to see your limits hit before the month is even half over, right? We build these automations to make our lives easier, but behind the scenes, the whole thing can get pretty messy. So I have to ask you this really high-stakes question. Why exactly are your Notion automations burning through those credits in platforms like Make and Zapier? Well, the default way these tools look for new data in Notion is actually incredibly inefficient. It relies on a mechanism known as polling.
To really put the impact of polling into perspective, just think about the number 288. If you set up a standard automation in Make with, say, a 5-minute polling interval, that automation is checking your Notion database 288 times a day. It's literally like having a hyperactive neighbor knocking on your front door every 5 minutes asking, "Hey, got any mail for me? Anything new?" And here's the real kicker. It burns a credit every single time it knocks, even if the answer is no, even if there is absolutely no new data to process. Over a single month, you are paying for thousands of empty knocks, completely wasting your credits just to check an empty database. And this brilliantly illustrates the difference between the old, expensive way of doing things and the modern solution. Polling triggers are slow and passive. They run on a rigid schedule, which means you might be sitting around waiting 5 minutes for a task you actually want done right now, all while burning credits continuously. On the flip side, we have webhook buttons. These are instant and active. They run on demand exactly when you need them to. And because they only fire off when there is actual data to send, they are highly, highly credit efficient. Which brings us to section 2, meet the webhook button. Instant execution on demand. First, just a quick technical note. To use database automations, and that includes webhook actions, you do need to be on a paid Notion plan. So that's Plus, Business, or Enterprise. But if you have one of those plans, I'm telling you, this feature is an absolute game changer. Simply put, a webhook button in Notion sends your page data instantly, the exact second you click it, using an HTTP post request. You don't have to wait for an external timer to tick down anymore. By putting a button directly inside your database, you are taking back total control. You click the button, and Notion instantly pushes that specific row's data straight to your external tool. It's immediate, on-demand action right at your fingertips. So let's get into section 3, how to set it up. 4 steps to instant automation. Now that we know why this is so insanely powerful, I want to walk you through exactly how to build this in your own workspace. The setup is surprisingly elegant. You'll start right inside your Notion database by creating a new property and just selecting Button as the type. Easy enough. Next, you jump over to your automation platform, like Make or Zapier, and you generate a custom webhook trigger URL. You grab that URL, bring it right back into Notion, paste it into your button's Send Webhook action. And then, step 4, you just give it a click to test the data flow. That ensures it seamlessly hits your external tool. Now, let's talk about the payload, meaning what exactly Notion sends behind the scenes when you actually click that button. It automatically sends your database properties. Actually, scratch that. It's even better. You can pick and choose which specific properties to include, which is great for keeping things clean. It also allows one custom header if you need basic authentication. However, there are some strict limits you absolutely have to know about. You're allowed a maximum of 5 webhook actions per automation, but more importantly, it cannot send the page body content. It only sends the properties. If your workflow relies on sending long-form text written down in the body of a Notion page, you're going to have to use a text property instead, or build a workaround in your automation tool to fetch that page content later. All right, moving to section 4, the auto pause trap, the hidden danger of silent failures. Okay, we've celebrated the incredible efficiency. We love the elegant setup. But here is the biggest plot twist of this entire explainer. You absolutely have to understand this before you start relying on webhooks for mission-critical stuff. Because for all that credit-saving magic we just talked about, there is one very serious operational catch that can literally bring your entire system down. So the crucial point here is summed up perfectly by the folks over at the Lead to Notion blog. They wrote, the whole automation auto-pauses and needs manual reactivation. Look, if the receiving endpoint in Make or Zapier goes down, maybe you accidentally deleted the webhook, or maybe their server just timed out. Notion doesn't just fail quietly and try again later. No, it halts the entire automation dead in its tracks. Let's look at the real blast radius of this trap. A single failed HTTP post request triggers this pause. And here's the scary part. If your Notion automation does 3 different things, let's say it changes a status, it assigns a user, and it sends a webhook, a failure on the webhook means the status change and the user assignment stop working too. The whole thing is paused. Now, Notion will thankfully notify you of the error, but the system will not retry on its own, and it will not unpause on its own. You have to step in and intervene manually. When disaster does strike, here is your exact recovery plan to get your systems back online. After you fix whatever broken URL caused the issue in your external tool, you head back to your Notion database and click the 3-dot menu at the top right. From the Automations tab, locate the specific one that paused, hover over it, and simply toggle that active switch back to the on position. And just like that, your workflow will resume. To recap our operational guidelines for today, you might want to jot this down or take a screenshot. Remember these core limits and behaviors. Webhooks require a paid plan. They strictly use the HTTP post method. They can only send database properties, never the page body content. And crucially, if that webhook fails for any reason whatsoever, your entire automation auto-pauses. Keeping this mental checklist handy is going to save you hours of debugging later, for sure. Which leaves us with this final, kind of provocative question to consider. Is the sheer speed and efficiency of webhooks worth the risk of that silent failure? Honestly, for most of us who are looking to save hundreds of automation credits a day and get that instant execution, the answer is a resounding yes. But that is only true as long as we monitor our systems and know exactly how to recover from the auto-pause trap. I'd encourage you to evaluate your own tech stack, build out a couple of test buttons, and just see how much more efficient your workflows can really become. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep optimizing those databases, and I'll see you in the next one.